Right, Mr. Wyn Jones, thank you very much for joining me this morning. Morning after the night before. Initial reactions. I mean, I think you had a sense what was happening anyway, didn't you?
Yeah, I think this was an opportunity to bring two sides together, from the wildlife to the vets and the farmers, and open the conversations. That's why I agreed to be on the programme. Disappointed that I didn't get a lot of my points over. You edit a lot of stuff, and I'm not the kind of guy that's giving you one-word answers, it seems to be cut very well. Truth is, the bull that came on our farm had the blood test, and then because they are pointing the finger at that bull. That's what it looks like to the general public. It had a gamma test and it had a skin test, and since that program's been aired, it's gone through all the rigorous testing, and we're clear of TB now, and that bull is clear of TB. So I don't believe that was the cause of our TB outbreak on our farm. Now,
if that was like he was the smoking gun, wasn't he? He was sort of that was you said.
Yeah, that was the only thing they could pin on me, because we don't have slurry. We have dry manure on our yards. It's kept over summer and then spread after we cut the silage. So there's no chance of cross contamination there. Where the cows are grazing, that again is an area where no slurry or manure is kept. But the cows are up there from after them calving end of March to beginning of November. So they're up on that area, which is the only area that we've had problem with TB. So we've got land in Anglesey, land in Conway, and land in Llanfychan. So this is land in Abergwyn Gregin, which is, just on our doorstep, really. What we call the frithol, the intermediate land from the mountain to the lowlands. So the cows graze up there, sheep are grazed there over the winter. And if you look in that film, you'll see where we're standing, and just underneath us, there's a massive, massive forestry. And in that forestry, I believe there's an overpopulation of badgers. And I think that's where the reservoir was, and that's where my cows caught TB. I did explain that on camera, but didn't make the final edit. I understand, they've only got an hour to put everything together, but I think that was very, very important as part of the programme. Another thing I mentioned on numerous occasions was the wildlife loss. So as a boy, me and my brother would go around shooting rabbits a lot. I'm 57 now, so it's a few years that I've seen, the loss of hedgehog numbers on our farm. We used to go around and we would see hedgehogs everywhere. We'd never ever see a badger. Now, there's an overpopulation of the badger, and we see our bumblebee nests being dug out. We don't see any carcasses of hedgehogs anymore because there isn't hardly any on the farm, which is sad. And we know as well they can attack ground nesting birds as well. So, that was a bit disappointing for me, because I thought that was something that should have been put over, because the programme starts with a wildlife sanctuary, and it talks about the work that they're doing, but in no mention of farming side of things, which for me has hurt, because Brian May did an interview with Philip Case, and Philip asked him, his thoughts on what farmers thought, about wildlife loss, and a lot of farmers had told Philip, that they're worried about it, similar to me, and he said, farmers don't care about wildlife, and rolled his eyes. We won't go down there, that's a red herring. But anybody with any amount of intelligence would know that an overpopulation of something is going to cause destruction to other things. This is an apex predator. It needs a lot of grub. It needs a lot of food, especially if there's big sets, and they will travel, to find that food. And let's be truthful, I think he had some good points on there about a few of the things that he brought in, and I think that's got to be positive. But why does it take a rock star to bring a TV program into the BBC? Couldn't it have been done by, or couldn't it have been co-presented by a farmer, or a presenter that has Adam Henson, Jeremy Clarkson? There's a lot of good presenters. Gareth Wyn Jones. There's a lot of good presenters.
Too expensive.
Yeah, well, no, I don't think they'll touch me ever with a barge pole again because I'm too controversial.
But I think I did think that if the general population is having an opportunity to see this, they would have seen farmers at their lowest. And I've been very fortunate to meet someone like Steve Evans and film it at the beginning of the year, and you directed me to Steve, and the despair is absolutely apparent. But that was just 2 farmers or 3 farmers. These are, it's not a business. It's sort of, I met someone at the Dairy Tech talking about passing on a farm or selling a business. People celebrate if they sell a business. You've done well, you've successful. Yeah. But a farm is not a business, is it? It can't be seen as that type of entity. It's
a way of life, and my father's got a saying: we're only custodians of this land for the next generation, and our job is to pass that land on in a better state that we get it. And you can see with Steve Evans now, he's not going to get that opportunity because he's had to sell his farm. And for his mother and father, for him, and for his son, that is absolutely heartbreaking. And the only reason they are selling that farm is because of TB, and they have a massive population of badgers in the area, and it's heartbreaking, and people don't see it. People have taken their own lives. They've walked into sheds and hung themselves and shot themselves over these awful disease. And there was an opportunity here to open a door and bring 2, different sectors of community together and give the general public a open, honest insight into TB and the problems and the science. And you have to celebrate that, but not a mention of what Sarah and the team have done in Derbyshire, bringing down massive numbers. I think it's about 20% reduction.
Just explain who Sarah is, Gareth.
So Sarah is the head vet for the I can never get that.
AHDB,
AHDB. Listen, I've had too much sangria last night.
Sunstroke.
I fell asleep in the sun as well, so my brain's a little bit fuzzy. But I went to meet her on a farm up in Derbyshire. Got chatting to them, and the wildlife came into that as well. But you could see how much stress had been on this family farm, and how the stress had gone. And them 60 days, David, when you're waiting for them 60 days, you're having sleepless nights, and then you skin test them or blood test them, and then you're just waiting for that read. And when they come and read them, your heart's in your mouth, and you can see that in the program, and that's a good thing. But one thing I think they should have got into the program. So me and Steve went to the meeting in Aberystwyth. So Anne, invited me down. I took the time to go down to Aberystwyth because I'm quite open-minded. I say in the program, I'm always willing to be educated. I'm always willing to learn. And if you're not, I don't think you'll ever go forward in life. And if there is a solution, we have to find it. So we went down there and we sat in, a big room, and there were some great speakers there. But one of the first questions was asked by Steve, what is the TB status at Gackham now? And there was a lot of shuffling of papers, as you can imagine. And Robert Reid, fair play to him, he just said, yeah, we're down with TB. He was totally honest, didn't beat about the bush. That should have made the final cut, in my opinion, so people knew that farm was under TB. So, they haven't found the silver bullet. Yeah, maybe things are a little bit better with some of the biosecurity they've done. But literally, Dick Sibley had said no more than where the vet that came to my farm after we went down. you know, security measures, change a few things, you know, but these are the things that portray it a little bit disingenuous, because they put it right at the end, at a card at the end, you know, when they explain that. But that was on camera. They could have used that piece, you know. So that's a frustration as well for many farmers who have watched it. You know, many farmers have been on the phone and sending messages to me, and you can see that a lot of the wildlife trusts and a lot of these people are just so over the moon with the program, and they've just thought that this is the answer. Okay, so this is the answer to the whole
One thing
problem
that
I've got.
Thinking about it now, one thing that actually didn't feature at all was where those carcasses went. We didn't see abattoirs. We didn't see any type of, because what struck me, you know, I'm relatively new to this. I do have cattle, but the dairy side of it, the TB side of it, the fact that that goes into the food chain. None of the food chain, the whole processing of meat, that was not dealt with at all, which is a massive part of this, because the value that Steve will get back, for example, any dairy farmer for that animal, does not actually cover the fact that she will breed and they will have, you know, further cows and the milk loss and everything else. But the idea that the TB reactor will actually be enter the food chain, more than likely.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very, very small percentage that don't, that have, you know, the big lesions. So that I don't think they go in. But literally, yeah. So if you think of it, government, especially Welsh government, is the biggest beef baron in in the UK, well, and England as well, of course. But this is what I'm saying, you know, there's frustrations on a lot of sides that haven't been covered, and that's why it maybe should have been more of a maybe 3-part or 4-part documentary, where you'd have a side of a farmer. It just seems to be slightly contrived to a certain direction, and that direction starts with, you know, Brian Knight in a wildlife sanctuary saving hedgehogs. Another thing that angered me, David, quite a lot, was that they clipped me, some of my social media things, which I'd given them permission. Don't get me wrong, I'd given them permission. And that's why I've been re-showing a lot of my old videos from.
All right, you mean in the show, the stuff just to set you up? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you've seen the little clips where
yeah.
I'm saying I'm pissed off, I'm angry. Yeah, I'm pissed off, but they're not showing the whole video. When I'm talking about the cow, you know, I posted another one when I'm talking about the cows and the loss and the stress. I'm talking about the wildlife loss as well. You know, all these things. Anybody that knows me, you know me pretty well. You know, I'm not a person that shies away from things. You know, I'm honest. But people can portray people in the edit suite in the way they want. So I think I came over a little bit angry, to say the least.
Yeah, but that's, you know, you are their nemesis. You're the person that they feel they're having to try and convince that what they're doing is the middle way. They're trying to create the middle way, but they've got to take everybody with them. And that includes people that live in the urban environment as well as people that live in the countryside. Yeah. And it's very difficult when you feel you've been misrepresented, then that isn't the middle way.
No, and I was thinking this could build a lot of bridges between the wildlife organisations and the farming unions and the farmers, and, you know, open this conversation. But I don't think it has. I've read some of the messages this morning, and I'm thinking, you know, a lot of the Badger trusts, and, you know, I don't want to name people, but they're very influential, and, you know, they've been like, "Oh, fantastic, Brian! This is it. You've done it. You've saved the industry. You've saved the Badger." You know, and you're just thinking to yourself, literally, all he's done is talk a bit about shit, slurry, security. Well, when we broke down with TB, our head vet came out, and literally she went through everything that they said on there. You know, we were given that advice. So a lot of this is old news. I think we need to look more into some of the things. Yeah, good points with the skin test and things like that. But we can only do what we can do. And if you want to join a community, I think you have to respect that community and you have to give them the voice. And I don't believe that the farming voice was heard on that program. It starts with a beautiful, fluffy wildlife sanctuary feeding hedgehogs, and the producer herself told me it was nothing to do with wildlife. They had to start the journey somewhere. Well, why not start it on a farm? Because that's what it's all about, supposed to be. So, when people think that you're a bit thick or stupid, they might make a mistake if they pick on the wrong shit kicker. And, I don't think this has helped the situation one bit, which I thought it was going to. So going forward, I think we need to start addressing it. We need people on social media asking questions of the BBC. And why do we give these so-called celebrities, a platform? Why don't we bring, why didn't they have a farmer on that program with him co-presenting? So it could have been balanced. It could have been talking to
yeah. I mean, you have got. I mean, the thing is, there are some mainstream farmers like yourself, but then you've also got, Jeremy as well, and he's broached things. Sort of, it's almost like a Clarkson May, as in Brian May, as opposed to James May. But you've got this sort of where you have got big hitters, and you wonder who has almost more credibility within the wider community. Is it Jeremy Clarkson? Or is it someone like Brian May? And a lot of people won't actually. I think more people will probably know Jeremy Clarkson as a TV character, as someone who's a professional presenter, as opposed to Brian May, who's a guitarist. Obviously world famous for one thing, but not actually being able to communicate. Jeremy's communication skills are so much greater and so much stronger, and he can make points just with the raise of an eyebrow, or he just drops the mic and walks away from these points. So I think we do have the ability to actually deliver a different story as well.
Yeah, and I think it would be, literally would be important now for them to look at what's happened in Derbyshire and put something together for them to give farmers perspective of this. Because what they've done, in my opinion, is given the wildlife, or I hate to use the word badger huggers, but it's given them that platform, and instead of bringing people together to talk about the conversation, now it seems to have divided people because of some of the things that Brian has said, and I think especially about farmers not caring about wildlife, and no farmer in that program talks about wildlife. And no farmer talks, about how they feel, what's happened to their farm over the years. And I think that's quite disingenuous.
Yeah, it didn't even have a pair of wellies. That's bad.
No, I was in my shorts, to be honest with you.
Listen, you're in your shorts, you're on holiday. I'm going to leave it there, Gareth. Thank you ever so much for spending some time this morning. But it's not gone away, is it?
I think when we get back, there's going to be a lot of questions to be answered, and rightly so. But I just want to leave it on this. Let's not really think that it's finished here. There is solutions, there is science, and there is ways and means that we can do this. And I think we have to work together. My door's still open, but I just, I'll be a little bit more weary with the TV cameras and the production of things, because I do feel let down. I don't think they portrayed me, immensely bad, but I think they could have done a better job and been more honest of some of the things that I did say.